Hey, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast, your weekly dose of fertility wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, and integrative fertility coach. This is your go-to podcast for all things to naturally nourish your fertility, embody womb healing, and reclaim your feminine power to accelerate your path to pregnancy. My expert guests and I will be having intentional conversations to discuss the many facets of a thriving, fertile foundation, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as women on our journey to motherhood. So let's dive in, shall we? So, food as medicine. I find this chart pretty interesting. And basically, it's saying food in its purest form is going to contain the highest amount of vibrational frequencies. So, if you look at the very top of the chart, we have wheatgrass, chlorophyll, phytoplankton. If you think about it, these things are just absorbing the sun all day long. So, they're going to have a higher frequency compared to if you go down towards the bottom. Some of the things that are listed are processed foods, fast foods, things that have been changed very much so from their original form. Now, however, we obviously are not going to survive off of wheatgrass alone. So I like to break this down a little bit further. When we're talking about the frequency of food, here are the things that I recommend. So we want to focus on high vibe foods. So I'm talking organic foods. If you can't purchase all organic, I highly recommend checking out the EWG, I think it's .org, and they're going to have the Dirty Dozen, which are the top 12 produce that has been found to be very heavily sprayed with pesticides. So you want to at least buy those organically. And if that's still a little tight for your budget, a lot of times, and it might depend on the grocery stores near you, but you can actually find organic frozen vegetables where they're flash frozen. So they're still going to contain a lot of their nutrition, but ideally eating fresh over frozen is preferred. We want to include all the colors in the rainbow in season produce. So whether you're planting your own garden or you're finding a local farmer's market near you, if you don't have space for a garden, if you don't have any farmer's markets near you, you could try to find. I used to use a subscription called Misfit Market, and they have organic produce that basically the stores didn't want and they will sell. But obviously, you want something that didn't have to travel far to get to your kitchen. That's going to contain the most high frequency. So fresh whole foods as well. And then one piece of food frequency that people might not think about is mindful eating. So we want to make sure that we're slowing down when we're eating our food. You want to chew your food thoroughly and eating in a peaceful environment and showing gratitude to our food. So going back to my retail pharmacy days where I would work 12-hour shifts, and for the first at least half of my time working there, we didn't get a lunch. So I would be standing and eating really, really quick in the back, and I would get interrupted with questions, a patient consult, all those things. So that is the opposite of what you want to be doing. And then when it comes to animal foods, we want to make sure that we're sourcing these from ethical and regenerative farmers. So you can maybe try to find local farmers near you and create a relationship with them. A lot of times you can do a food share or something like that, a CSA. You can sometimes go in on like a whole pig or a whole cow with a family member and split the cost. And that's going to be really, really great for your budget and also for your health as well. So just one example is when I got pregnant, we decided that one shift that was really, really easy to make was to start buying pasture-raised eggs because they just are packed with so many benefits. So my midwife's father-in-law, they have their own farm, and they are very much about regenerative farming, and we started getting our eggs there back in 2018, and we're still getting our eggs from them. And then we want to avoid low vibe culprits. So processed foods, refined sugar, additives, pesticides, and we don't want to be making food in a negative energy, and we don't want to be eating our food in a negative energy as well. So you don't want to be eating your dinner or something and maybe arguing with someone on the phone. You want to separate those things if you can. So one thing that's really cool in terms of where you can personalize the nutrition aspect is looking at Ayurvedic body types. So there's 3 different body types. And the first one we're going to go over is Vata, and the element is air. So this person is typically thin, they can be sensitive, restless, and they have a cooler constitution. So some ways that you can support this body type is increasing warming foods and spices to counteract the coldness. You can increase grounding foods like root vegetables and really high quality oils. And you want to reduce low fat foods and then raw and cold foods. So I would say that Vata is at least one of my body types, and a lot of what I did with the acupuncturist relates to this body type. So some examples is you can begin including cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger into your foods. And then we have the Pitta. The element is fire and water. So this type can easily overheat. They usually have a type A personality, go-getters. You want to increase sweet, bitter, cooling, and astringent foods and spices. And you want to decrease like hot spices and red meat. So some examples of that would be peppermint tea, fennel, and cardamom. And then we have the Kapha body type, which the element is earth and water. I do also resonate with this body type as well. This person can be very strong and grounded. So we want to increase drying and heating foods and heating and pungent spices and decrease high fat foods, heavy and fatty proteins. So they could include more dandelion, cayenne, and pepper. And I really just learned this from one of my mentors. She actually got it from Dr. Alan Christensen. I think it's the adrenal reset diet. If anyone's interested, he wrote a book on it. But the gist is you want to prioritize protein in the morning and the afternoon, so breakfast and lunch, to help with a healthy cortisol production in the morning, in the afternoon, and basically getting you through the evening. And then for dinner, you want to focus more on high quality complex carbs at night and either avoiding or limiting protein. And this is going to help with melatonin production. So this is going to help nourish your adrenals if that's something that you're struggling with. So we're going to shift gears here a little bit. We're going to start getting into the energetic modalities that I spoke to earlier. So what is womb healing? I have been in a certification since September, which is really all about getting embodied as a practitioner and then going and helping your clients with it. And has been very amazing and eye-opening, and I've learned so much. But womb healing, in a nutshell, is intentionally healing ancestral, collective, and personal wounding and trauma. And the goal is to restore your flow of vital life force energy. Reclaim your feminine power, which is housed in your womb, your intuition, your creativity, and your fertility. So creativity can be viewed on a lot of different aspects. Creativity can be art, music, dancing, but also creating life. That is creativity in of itself. So it's very interesting learning this and sharing this aspect with my clients. It's been super fun. So we have a 4-step womb work framework. So the first step is really building self-awareness. And I think there's been like this awakening where I think we are all becoming more aware. But I do think that there's still a lot in the world, a lot of people that have zero self-awareness. So this step, I think, can take possibly the most time depending on where you fall. I find myself as a very self-aware person, and this has taken years for me to get to this point. So really what you're doing is you're looking for patterns that life is mirroring to you to heal. Now, I used to get really confused when I would hear that phrase, it's mirroring to you this. What does that even mean? But basically it's showing you. Let's just say you're looking at a mirror. It's showing you this thing keeps coming up. But a lot of times we can shrug it off, we can ignore it, or we just don't know what to do with it. For example, you keep getting into the same fight with your partner. Now, let's say it's about putting the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. Raise your hand if anyone's husband has trouble doing that. I know mine does. You may get super angry with him, lash out at him. Obviously, maybe this happens at certain times of the month where it's just like your threshold for dealing with that is out the window. So one possibility that this is continuing to come up to show you that actually there's a wound underneath. Okay, maybe Katie, little Katie, when she was growing up, she didn't feel seen or heard. It could be from her parents, could be from teachers, it could be from siblings, other family members, where you feel the struggle to being heard. And that's why this is getting so frustrating for you, because he's not listening and he's not doing the thing that you keep asking him to do. So that's just an example, and it's just building self-awareness. I'll give you one more example because this happened to me recently. One of my clients decided to do something, change something I had her doing without consulting me. And she basically told me, my mom said XYZ, so that's why she started doing it. And I got really triggered by it. I got so triggered by it. Like, why would you not include me in that decision? But anyways, I noticed that. I caught it. And I'm like, this is interesting, Katie. Why are you getting so triggered by this? And I sat down and I did this 4-step framework, and I ended up sitting through a healing practice, and I was able to release it. And now I'm all good. So we'll go back through that, but that was just another recent example. So you want to observe and neutralize. You want to be able to witness and hold this emotion and reaction without blaming or shaming. So back to the first example. If you realize, like, I keep getting mad at him for doing this, I'm an awful wife, what's wrong with me? That's blaming and shaming. So we don't want to go there. We want to take radical responsibility for our part, but we just want to be neutral about it. Okay, like how I was. All right, Katie, why are we feeling this way? I was more looking at it with curiosity than getting annoyed with myself. So just being open to that. And then once you can be in that neutral state, we want to go to step 3. So release and alchemize. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can decide to just shift your mindset. Maybe you can decide, all right, he's really bad at putting the dishes in the dishwasher, but he stays on top of his laundry. And I love him for that. And then you can come forward with compassion for him. Okay, for whatever reason, this is just one of his faults. And maybe I can help him in other ways to remember, or maybe this is just an act of love that I do for him by continuing to put the dishes in the dishwasher for him. So you can make this mindset, and you only want to do it if it's purely genuine and authentic. You don't want to force this. If it feels really hard to just shift the mindset, then what you want to do is take it to the body. And this is what the womb healing is. This is what I help my clients do. You want to take it with an intention and through a healing session. And you're going to be able to alchemize it that way. And then at the end, whether it's a mindset shift or after a session, you're just going to decide, who are you going to be and what actions will you take? So for the husband example, maybe you're going to figure out some way that you can either make it easier for him to remember to do it, or you're just going to accept that it is what it is, and you're going to be the one to put the dishes away, and maybe he will do something else. And then, yeah, you just move forward from there. So it's a really simple yet effective tool for sure. For the other energetic modalities, we have meditation and visualization. This is a very big piece of what I do as well. And the goal is to really slow down, focus on your breath, connect with your body, and then you're going to be able to connect with your intuition, which I think a lot of us are lacking because we're so busy, we're so go, 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 go that we can't even hear our intuition speak to us. And I will tell you from my personal experience, looking back at how I was as a child and then how I am now, I almost feel like being on birth control starting at age 15 to 28, I feel like it muted a lot of those things. It muted that inner intuition and that creativity. That is how I feel. That was my personal experience. So by doing this, especially during your fertility journey, it's a beautiful time to really build that connection back up with yourself. And visualization is another amazing practice. It's really going to help show your subconscious mind that what you desire is already yours. So I have this really wonderful practice that I have my clients do, and basically it helps them sit with what is it that they desire? What is the one thing that they really want? Is it finally getting that positive pregnancy test? Is it being pregnant and having that baby bump? Is it giving birth and holding your baby for the first time? And you really want to involve all of the senses. So, what does it feel like in your body? What are you feeling? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Where are you? What do you see? What do you hear? If you're holding your baby for the first time, what does their head feel like? Bringing that all in and holding it as if it's happening in the present moment. And I'm telling you, that is going to collapse time for you for anything that you want. It doesn't just have to be about getting pregnant. And then we have affirmations and gratitude. So these are both going to increase your vibration and frequency. It's going to help shift negative limiting beliefs to positive ones. So a lot of times women can get really discouraged and just say, it's never going to happen for me. I'm never going to get pregnant. You can shift that to, I'm going to be getting pregnant someday, or I'll be pregnant at the right time. Whatever feels good to you, but really just shifting the perspective. And then showing gratitude has been proven to improve overall happiness and mindset. And I think just doing this daily, whether you're writing it, writing it down is definitely the most solid way to do it. But even if you just recite things in your mind, and if you have a really hard time some days, you can just be grateful for having a home, having running water, having warm food to eat, because I can tell you a lot of people on this earth don't have that. And it can really, really start shifting your perspective and being grateful for all the things that you do have. And then we have emotional freedom technique. So for anyone who's not familiar with this, it's really going to help restore and balance the energetic body by tapping acupressure points on the meridian. And this is going to neutralize and release stagnant energy that a negative experience created. So if you do go to my website, you'll be able to see my YouTube channel. I do have a video that takes you through doing the emotional freedom technique. So for someone who's struggling to get pregnant, if they have specific fears that are coming up, this is what I would want to take them through. And then there's the Eden Energy Method. This was created by Donna Eden, and this is going to help ground and center your energy to balance the energy through your meridians, your chakras, and your aura to really boost vitality, resilience in your mood. So you can find, I think it's called the Eden Energy Daily Routine. It's about a 10-minute routine, and you feel really, really good after doing this. You can definitely find that not on my YouTube, but if you just search for it on YouTube, you can find a video for that as well. And so to tie this all together, I wanted to share a client success story because I feel like it's a beautiful representation of how we combined the practical strategies and the energetic strategies. So she was using a Prove Complete test, which tests your hormones throughout your cycle. And at the stage that she was in her cycle, she was testing her PDG levels, which is a progesterone metabolite. And her PDG levels were so low that it actually told her she could stop testing. So it has you test on days past ovulation 7, 8, and 9. So if you have a 28-day cycle and you ovulate on day 14, that would be cycle day 21, 22, 23, and 24. And they were so low on the first 3 days that it told her she didn't even have to test for the 4th day because she didn't ovulate. Yet she conceived that cycle. So that was a mystery to both her and I, but also a testament to doing this energetic work. I definitely feel to my core. So she went from having a 7 to 8 day luteal phase, which is a very short phase. It's often called the luteal phase defect. It's very hard for implantation. It's not long enough to really support implantation, and the progesterone is so low that it can't support a healthy pregnancy either. And she also came to me with low estrogen to getting pregnant in just a couple of months of working together. So we supported her hormone production and her egg quality by balancing blood sugar, increasing her protein and healthy fat intake, and then also targeted supplements. But we also really focused on a lot of healing. So I like to think of the nutrition and the supplements and the lifestyle as like the foundation, right? We talk about it, we get you started on everything, and then it just is. It's just what you do. And then we go into the healing, the energetic healing. So we did a lot of inner child work, womb healing. I helped her release a lot of past traumas, programming from her childhood. And she was so open and receptive to doing this. And I think that that's what really, really helped her. And she became so in tune with her intuition. She quit her job. And she had even said to me, I would have never have done this before. I would have never have quit this job for this job. But here I am. And she really embodied deep trust and surrender on her fertility journey. She's now in her 2nd trimester, and she didn't need to even supplement with progesterone in her 1st trimester. So going from a luteal phase defect to pregnant and all things looking good and healthy, like just such a blessing. And if anyone is more interested in listening to her story, I recently interviewed her on my podcast, and she very graciously shared her experience and story. But yeah, so I love that client success story, and I would love to open it up for any questions. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.